You're listening to the Otis Jiry channel.
The Haunting at Midnight by Thomas G. Schmidt. Performed by Otis Jiry. The old man walked gingerly down the dim-lighted back alley, officially known as Keegan Street. Once a bustling commercial area of Porterville, the old street was now in a state of decay, and long forgotten by most people living in the area. He walked silently, head down, much like any other man in his late 80s. But Argus McCain was not like other men, that's for sure. McCain stopped at an old gray door with peeling paint and fumbled for his keys. Argus had lived at 105 Keegan Street for longer than he could remember and could walk the area almost blindfolded, which was good given his failing eyesight and feeble condition. The old man opened the door and went inside. The stairs immediately behind the front door took McCain up to a modest one-bedroom apartment that he was renting. Over the years, Argus had paid enough in rent to actually own the whole building if he'd been wise enough to purchase it over 31 years. But that had not been the case, and Argus didn't care. McCain went up the stairs and entered the small kitchen area. He turned on the old stove and started to prepare a can of soup for dinner. He didn't eat much and tended to have the same meals on most days, canned soup and white bread, made for easy shopping for Argus. People in Porterville had a hard time remembering Argus, even though he had lived in the area all his life. He was a quiet man, a man of few words. In fact, many people had trouble remembering anything that he had said. He generally just nodded or grunted if approached by anyone in town. But Argus had a history, a long-forgotten history that he had successfully covered up for years. In truth, Argus had once been a successful businessman, operating a mill which had once been located at the easternmost end of Keegan Street. The mill had once dominated wheat processing in southwestern Ohio. McCain had established the business with his best friend, Jonathan Grugan. Together, the two men worked long hours, and through their sweat, they built a milling empire which, at its peak, had employed 215 men. But over the years, the mill started to falter, and employment cuts had to be made to keep the business solvent. Then there was the fire that largely consumed the mill building. What was left of the old structure was shuttered and ultimately torn down in favor for new development. Over the years, the business that had provided growth for the small town that became Porterville was largely forgotten. McCain put his hot soup on a snack table in the living room area of the apartment and turned on the radio. Argus was too cheap to have a TV. He did have a set a number of years ago, an old Zenith black and white set with vacuum tubes. But when the TV failed and Argus found no stores in southwestern Ohio which carried vacuum tubes any longer, he just decided not to bother replacing the old Zenith. That was back in 1984. The old radio was not in much better condition than the Zenith, but at least it still worked. Argus had the radio tuned to an AM station that he listened to for years. The dial was never changed, so he didn't have to deal with finding another channel with failing eyesight. The radio news for this evening was boring and monotonous, so soon Argus was dozing off. His sleep, however, was interrupted by a familiar voice that seemed to come from the radio. "Argus! Argus!" The voice called out as the old man woke in a start. "Argus, why did you kill me?" The voice was initially calm, but became shrill as the words "kill me" came forth. Who's there?" asked the old man as he nervously looked around the modestly furnished room in a state of fear.
"You know damn well who's here,"
came the reply which seemed to emanate from the radio. Argus rose from his chair and walked nervously around the room. It couldn't be. There is no way this could be happening. Jonathan, is that you? Yes, Argus. I have come to see you. I have come back to find out why you left me to die in that fire. The old man started to sweat as he continued to walk around the room. You can't be here. You're dead. You died in the mill fire. Did I? My body was never found, Argus. How can you be so sure? The old man continued to move around the room in an effort to find any actual corporeal being within his apartment. No one was around. Jonathan, I didn't kill you. I tried to find you, but the fire was too strong. Liar! You knew where I was. I was calling for your help, and you ignored me. Jonathan, that's not true. You have always been my friend. I cared about you. I still care about you. You only cared about the money. That is why you started the fire, the money, the insurance we had on the mill. No, Jonathan, that's not true. Argus, where is the money? Where have you hidden our money? The old man was perspiring more than ever as his eyes darted around the room. This just couldn't be happening. The fire was nearly 50 years ago. I haven't spent any. I can't. The old man stuttered as he tried to reply. He turned the volume knob on the old radio to off, but the voice still continued. You can't spend it because you worship having it. It's your God. You can't tolerate the thought of spending any of it. The old man looked around, not knowing what to say in reply. Then the voice spoke again. Argus, you know what you must do. It's been too long. You must make amends. As if in a stupor, the old man walked into the kitchen and picked up a pen. The note was short, since there was not much to say. He put the pen down and walked to the old gas stove. As if in a trance, Argus turned on all the burners and let the gas fill the room. He fell to the ground and sat against the wall of the room. Would he finally have peace? Epilogue. The fire department and police came to 105 Keegan Street early the next morning when a 911 call came in for a gas odor at the building. The gas to the building was turned off, and when the firemen entered, they found the limp body of an old man. The note on the stove seemed strange, but after investigating the scene, the police decided that the wishes outlined in the note should be honored. Emily Grugan, the only child of the late Jonathan Grugan, seemed puzzled when summoned to the Porterville Police Department. She explained to the officer that she did not know of anyone named Argus McCain, and to be honest, she had barely even known her biological father. As she explained, her father had been killed in an unfortunate fire many, many years ago, and as a result, she had been raised by her mother and stepfather. The officer escorted Emily to the Porterville Community Bank, where she was handed the key to safe deposit box number 34, and then ultimately shown to a private room. Inside the room, Emily opened the box that once had belonged to Argus McCain and shuffled through the papers. To her astonishment, she found cash inside multiple unmarked envelopes, which totaled $530,000. The cash was in crisp, uncirculated bills, which were all dated in September 1965. A yellow newspaper article tucked inside the safe deposit box provided a brief story about a 1964 fire which had occurred at the McCain-Grugan Mill and how Jonathan Grugan had presumably perished in the fire. The article stated that the old mill had been in decline for years and how it was unlikely that the surviving partner, Argus McCain, would rebuild the business. The estimate business loss quoted in the article was a value of approximate $500,000. Nothing else was in the safe deposit box.